Hi everyone, I'm so excited because today I have Sami Tansel here, and Sami has been doing photography now for 2 or 3 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that, and she's just such a ray of light. Sami and I went to Eastern together, and she was in one of my classes, and she just kind of like, next thing you know, on Instagram, she made a photography account, and I was like, I'm gonna follow her, she's cool in my class. And yeah, then like, I just feel like after the past couple years of watching you, you've really just freaking exploded, Sami, and I think that's so cool. Like, I know you were studying business and marketing when you were at Eastern, but now it's crazy cool to watch you apply all that to your own business.
Oh my goodness,
and
yes.
you use social media as like a huge tool for yourself. And I want to be able to talk about that and give other photographers inspiration, but other people as well. Just dive into what you love and do the things that you're interested in. So Sami, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And so Sami, like, at what moment did you realize you're going to take that leap and call yourself a photographer?
It took so long, honestly. And I think so many people feel this way about whatever they're doing, whether it is graphic design, whether it is, modeling, whatever it is. It's so hard to like call yourself a professional at what you're doing because, I shot my first wedding for $100. It was my first ever paid shoot, literally. And I was so scared. And the bride was super cool. I'm still friends with her to this day. And she's like, literally, like, I don't care. Like, it's fine. And I'm like, okay. And I was so scared. And then that moment happened. And then after that, I was kind of just like hooked. I'm like, oh, like, I like this. This is fun. And I just started shooting everything. Like anyone, I shot a newborn. I shot a bunch of like seniors. I shot a bunch of families for like $50, like $75, which I don't know if I would recommend doing, but I just wanted to get myself out there and get experience. And then, eventually I was like, oh, like I can actually, start charging more. Like a lot of people are reaching out to me. And I kind of got into this point where I was like, well, like I'm not like a photographer yet. Like I don't, have like a website. I just like do it. And that's the one thing like I would recommend to anyone. Like if you're getting paid at all, you're a professional. Like it doesn't matter if it's $25. It doesn't matter if it's $2,000. Like you're professional at what you're doing. You're getting paid. And another, like I did things for $50 and it's like, why did I do that? And like I think everyone needs to start somewhere, but it's like, if you don't start walking the walk, then people aren't going to treat you like you're serious. And so I didn't want to be the cheap photographer. I wanted to be the one whose work was so good that I'll pay her whatever her rates are because she's so talented. And then, so I feel like just honestly a year ago, that's kind of when my mind switched and I was like, okay, I don't have to cut people deals. I don't have to be, begging people to shoot with me. Like I know my worth and what I do, and I can charge what I want. And at that point I was like, okay, like I'm a photographer. When people asked what I did, I didn't say like, oh, like I work at this place. I'm like, I'm a photographer. And then like I also have like a day job, and it was very exhilarating.
Yeah.
I felt like I could actually tell people that. And now people don't even ask. And I'm like, oh, I'm a photographer over here.
Yeah.
Me, if you need me.
Yeah. And I've noticed that a lot because I think that especially, unfortunately, photographers that I've noticed, I don't think they charge enough for their beautiful craft. And so I think a lot of people in the creative industry are stuck working other jobs too. And like, you wouldn't question why you're paying your hairdresser $150 for your highlights.
Exactly.
So why are you questioning how much your photo shoot costs? That's not fair. This is their life and this is their career. Respect it.
Exactly.
Do you feel like you started getting more respect the more you started charging?
I do. And I feel like it was kind of funny because, I used to get tagged on like things and obviously everyone's intentions are so good, but it's like, oh, I'm looking for a cheap photographer. And then like people would tag me and it's like, and I know their intentions are fine because it's like, oh, like, they worked with me when I was a cheap photographer. And so like they loved what they got. So they're going to recommend me. But so I was kind of in that rut. And I think once I stopped being that, people were recommending me on things where it's like, who's the best photographer and then they'd like tag me. Or if it's like, I need a photographer. And it's like, that is so exciting. And I think people now at this point, sometimes I'll get inquiries from like across the country and they're like, oh my gosh, like why are your rates so low? I'm like, well, I'm in Ohio, so like they can't be that high. But like for some people, like in California, it's cheaper to pay my rate and then fly me out and then pay for my hotel and all that stuff because the rates out there like start at like $6,000. And so it's like, depending on where you're at, that's where your rates need to be. But yes. Short answer, yes. I feel a lot more respect. I feel a lot more like my work is valued, and I'm working with people that actually care about like what their pictures look like. They're not just people that are like, oh, I need a photographer for my wedding. Like, who's the cheapest one I can get? And that means the quality of my work is just so different because there's a different energy behind it. Like, these people want their pictures to look great. It's not just like, oh, like I need to get my pictures taken now. You know, it's people that are going to put the effort in, and then that makes my job so much easier. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's something to be said about like knowing your worth and sticking to that price. Because I understand when you start, like, because I did the exact same thing. I think my first photo shoot, I didn't get paid cash at all. I got paid with a $25 Starbucks gift card. It was like a friend, and then the mom was like, well, I'm going to give you something. And that was very sweet of her. But as you do it for longer and longer, like valuing your time, especially if that's your main source of income.
Exactly.
Being like, well, I know I'm worth more than $50 for this like hour. It's an hour photo shoot, but it's going to take me 6 hours to edit it. Like, but I think it gives people more respect for you if you can value yourself. Because why would you value someone that doesn't value themselves?
Exactly. And I feel like your rate, like people see a photographer and it's like, oh, they just press a button. Like they're just the camera. Oh, like that's a great camera. And it's like, yes, I do have a great camera, but also it's the time I'm editing it. It's the knowledge to even know how to work the camera. Like if I gave Joe Schmo a camera, he would not know how to work my camera. It's driving to the shoots. It's all of the communication before the shoot, all the communication after the shoot. We're editing, we're, uploading them to this website so you can see them. It's like there's this whole back end where people like don't see the work, and it's like it takes probably 2 hours every day. I'm answering emails like every single day. That's not even editing, that's not even driving places to do photography. And it's people don't see that because for you it's just like one interaction, but for me it's like I have 18 people I'm talking to in one day, and it's great. It's a fantastic problem to have, but it's like, I wish sometimes I could just shake people and tell them like, I don't just press a button, I promise. Like I do so much more.
Yeah, there's so much more involved than you could ever know.
Right.
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception is like, well, you just like have a good camera, so it takes good photos. You're like, no, because like you're totally right. If you gave someone who's like never used a professional camera before that camera, they're not going to take a good photo.
Exactly.
Because it's not even just the technology. A lot of it's like how trained your eye is and like how creative you are. Like how are you seeing things differently than other photographers? If you like, there's so many photographers who use the exact same camera, but they all look completely different.
And like everyone's style is so drastically different. Like, my pictures look so different than someone that might have literally the exact same setup as me. And it's like, why is that? Just because the way we edit, the way we shoot, the way we see things, like you were saying. And I feel like that's the great thing about photography, because you can never have too many photographers because everyone's work is so unique. Like, I want to get to the point where people can like look at a picture and just know I took it, just like by the picture itself. And I know there's photographers like that where I see their work and I'm like, oh, I know exactly who took that. Because like their work is just so unique and different that, it's not to be mistaken by anyone else's.
Yeah, but like you're also developing and growing, and professionally you always will be.
Right.
So that's another consideration as well, is that like what people might not realize goes into a photo is environment, lighting, even like skin tone.
Even what you wear. Like, if you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, the picture is going to look so much different than if you have this long white flowy dress. Like, it's so, and I always...
Oh, does that happen with engagement shoots? Oh gosh.
It's not like, I'm always telling people, I'm like, wear what you feel most comfortable in, because it's your session. So like if you're cozy and like sweats and like you want to have like a cozy in-home session, like I'm game, I'm there. But I always do recommend, I'm like, okay, but these are also like your engagement photos. Like you get these once. And so, for my ladies, I'm like, just wear a dress, wear a long, nice flowy dress. If we want to like do something, you can do jeans and like a nice little sweater or something. But like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, I see the vision, like I'll have the location. I'm like, this is perfect, but like the outfit just doesn't match. And so that's what I was talking with you earlier about. Like, I feel like I just need to start creating content that's not client work, because like then I can piece everything together. Like they're wearing exactly what I want them to wear. We're in the exact location. And like, I don't have the pressure of like, when I'm shooting, I'm always like, oh my gosh, yes, like blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm like this hype person. And so like, it would just be nice sometimes to just be able to like, okay, actually like I want to move you like this way a little bit and just have all the control. Because with clients, I'm just hyping the whole time. I'm just like high energy. I get in my car and I'm like, okay, I need to just be silent for like 30 seconds because I just rambled my head off.
Well, people don't also consider the fact they're paying for your energy.
Right.
Like you do have awesome energy. and that, to me, that's essential for comfortable photos. Like, I mean, you even said it yourself. You're not used to being in front of the camera. You're used to being behind it. But because you're used to being behind it, you know how intimidating being in front of it is.
Oh my goodness. I literally like Sage. Sage will try to like take pictures of me, and I'm like, how do I, and it's like, I know what I'm supposed to do. And then I look at the picture, I'm like, why don't I look like my couples? Why don't I look like my people? And it's just this constant battle, because you're right, it's so uncomfortable to be in front of the camera. And my couples, literally probably 1 out of every 2 times someone reaches out like, hey, we're really awkward in front of the camera. Like, they'll always preface it with that. And I'm like, girlfriend, everyone's awkward in front of the camera. And that's because you don't have someone telling you what to do. When you hand your friend your iPhone to take a picture, they're not telling you what to do. They're just like, and they just snap a pic. You know, like I'm not just taking your pictures, I'm like walking you through exactly how to do it, and everything is so prompt based. It's not like, okay, move your head a little bit. Like, we're like prompting each other and we're having fun, and it's like that's when real emotions come out, and that's what makes a good picture. It's not just the camera and the person shooting the camera, it's the fun we're having, and then it's like a date night. It's not like, oh, we're going to get pictures. It's like, oh my goodness, this was so fun.
Yeah, I think a really fun engagement shoot, because I've been engaged, and Sami has taken some engagement photos of me.
I have.
Awkward fun fact, worth acknowledging, because they are weird. Mm-hmm. Engagement photos are weird.
Yeah.
And I'm not traditionally like, oh, let me make out with my partner in front of a camera. And you don't want make out photos for an engagement shoot, but it's tasteful to have like adoring photos where you're looking at each other. You want to look like you like each other.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You know, if you don't like each other, still you want a photographer who can make you look like you do.
Right.
Awkward, but also worth addressing, because I think that there are prompts that can make a couple or a person feel more lighthearted.
Oh my goodness,
so
yes.
Do you have any favorite like prompts that you like to give couples when you're trying to make them smile?
Oh, I have so many. So my favorite, this is just the money shot every time, but it's the almost kiss. So you're real close, right? You're right here. And you're practically kissing. So I always call this the almost kiss, or you're kissing with your teeth. So you're real close and you're like smiling, you're almost kissing. That's always the money shot, right? Another fun one is like my wedding photographer, Whitney, who's also a phenomenal photographer. She did this with us, and ever since then I was like, I'm doing this with all my couples because it was so funny. So she tells Sage, the guy, all right, so you're going to try to kiss her anywhere, doesn't matter, you're holding her, you're trying to kiss her. And then she tells me, okay, you're not letting him kiss you. So you guys are kind of like moving back and forth, and you get this motion, and that's what I love in pictures, is like motion, like the hair moving. It's a little blurry. Like, I'm not a perfectionist photographer. Like, I love those blurry shots. I love those, like, you're running and, like, it's just your feet, and, like, your feet are kind of, like, dirty. And I love those kind of pictures because it's, like, so much emotion is in there. And it's not the perfect shot, but it's, like, so much more perfect because there's these little imperfections in it. I'm trying to think of what other poses I really like. I mean, I always do the drunk walk. Can't go wrong with a good drunk walk. The guys always really like that one.
What's that like?
So, you kind of have your hand over your lady and you're kind of walking. Most of my couples have had some practice at this, usually not in front of a camera, but they're walking, and then you just do big exaggerated walks. And you're kind of looking at each other the whole time. You can throw some kisses in, and it's just fun because I like to do stuff that gets the guys involved too, because like a lot of times, the guys don't really want to be there. Some guys do, and you can tell, and those are great to work with, but you have to kind of butter them up. And so stuff like that like gives them an opportunity to be funny and like be themselves, and you can like actually capture that in the pictures, and it's so fun.
Yeah. Do you have any cute little sayings that you ask the couples questions and kind of draw out any like verbal emotion as well?
So I always say whoever's like the funny one, right? Like whisper in their ear, make them laugh. And I don't ever know what they say ever, but we always get a laugh. Sometimes the gal's like, oh, he didn't even say anything. He just like put his mouth up to my ear, and I'm like, all right, creative.
It worked though.
Right, but it works. And I feel like stuff like that. And I'll never forget it, Whitney, again, when we were taking our engagement pictures. And this was the first time that Sage and I had been in front of the camera, like ourselves, and not like me taking someone's pictures. So I was kind of nervous even because I'm like, I know how to direct people, but like, I don't know how to be in front of the camera. And it was so funny. Whitney was like, all right, Sage, like no part of her body is off limit. Like anywhere is fine. Like you can kiss her anywhere. And he was like, and his face was so embarrassed. And she's like, oh no, like it's okay. And she thought she like made him feel bad. I'm like, no, he's fine. He's PDA. But like, stuff like that really gets like fun emotion. And I feel like as long as you can draw out like a smile and a laugh that's not like, all right, smile, it's going to be such a better shot.
Yeah, I agree. And at what point did you realize too that you were going to label yourself as a professional third wheel?
Well, I actually saw that in someone else's Instagram bio, and I was like, that's going in mine. I love it. I think it's so cool. And it's funny because I just changed my bio like a day ago from part-time third wheel to professional third wheel because I don't want to be part-time. I want to be just, you're always third wheel. And I think that's such a fun term because really I am just third wheeling on like a fun date with you guys. You know, like I can go wherever you want to go. Like some couples, I've done shoots like in coffee shops where it's like you literally are going like on a date basically, and I'm just like there. And it's so fun because it's so personal to every person. And it's like I get to see so many different people and meet so many different people and see like what they love, and it's so awesome.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. And you recently got to take an engagement shoot for a couple of our friends, and they turned out beautifully. And I know you don't advertise that you'll do engagement shoots, but I feel like something like that, was that natural for you because they were your friends?
I think so. It helps when I know people. Yeah, I don't advertise that I do engagements or weddings.
I don't advertise that I do newborns. So.
Stuff like that, like because like I really enjoy like the more like fashion editorial side of photography. I do love and appreciate the like family photos, like couple photos, weddings, all those things. That's just not my specialty.
Right.
I have a harder time like connecting with people and like making them laugh compared to like sitting down with someone and explaining like my artistic vision.
Right.
It's just different groups of people.
Oh, absolutely.
But what were you asking me about Claire and Andrew?
Yeah, Claire and Andrew's shoot, because that's for you and them. It's the photos looked like you all had a natural experience.
Yeah, I'm glad they looked that way. It didn't. It was okay. Claire and Andrew are some like close friends of ours. And Andrew had texted me a few days earlier and asked me if I would take their engagement photos or proposal, not engagement.
Those are tricky.
Yeah, proposal photos are always stressful.
I forget that's different.
Are always stressful because you have to hide.
Right.
Like,
right.
And out of all the, like I've done quite a few proposals and they're always so stressful.
Yes.
But they were sitting outside of a restaurant in downtown Ann Arbor, like in those little like boxes that you can sit in, like the really tiny ones.
The greenhouses.
Yeah. And there was like a whole bunch of them. So I like waited inside the restaurant with my hood up, back to the door.
Right, because they knew you, right?
Yeah, because they had to come in to say that they were there. And so I didn't want them to see me. So I had like my hood up, all hunched over. I was like corresponding with the waiters and waitresses, trying to figure out who was taking the ring out, because the ring was like on a tray that they were going to bring out with the drinks. And so I had to like follow them out and then be like behind a bush somewhere, like trying to shoot.
It's so stressful.
Through this like little door into this tiny little like enclosure.
Gosh, I would die.
Yeah, but it was good. It was a good time. And then after they like had some drinks, ate dinner, and then we like walked around downtown and took some photos.
So fun.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, they turned out really beautiful, and he just won't tell anyone that he does engagement shoots
Well, like, that's
or proposals.
Yeah, I mean, like I like the newborn thing. Like I will take newborn pictures. I'm taking some this Saturday, like, you know, and family stuff, but it's like not what I feel happiest doing. And it's like, I want to refer you to someone that like is happiest doing that because the quality of work is going to show. And so like, I totally get that, where it's like, you know, I don't advertise this because no offense, but you're not my target market. Like you're not who I want to be working with. That sounds so bad.
No, it's not,
it's
because
true.
I freaking love babies.
Yeah.
And so like to me, the idea of taking photos of newborns
so
all day,
stressful.
that would be so cool.
I thought I liked it. And I thankfully, my only like true newborn shoot was like one of my good friends. So like I really felt no pressure, but like I was like, oh my gosh, how do people like pose their children
Yeah,
like
they're
that?
so tiny.
Good
I don't
point.
understand.
It's a mini human.
And no, it's a literal like production. Like they have studios. It's set, like the heat is cranked up, so like the babies are sleeping. It's a whole ordeal. And once I researched more, I was like, literally, never again will I do this, because it's just so much. You know, it's a baby. I don't even want to touch it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, there's just so much that goes into it, and like, yeah, unless they're like half asleep, you can't really move.
No, they're
them.
crying. I like the one
They
baby
cry,
peed twice.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't know what to
it's
do.
It's just no good. That's like, yeah, my thing with like babies or families or anything is like I'll do it for friends,
Right.
Or like
Yeah, me too.
people who already know me and are like, hey, like I need someone. Like, well, like, do you want to do this? And I'll tell them sometimes like, just don't tag me, and we're good. Like I like the photos. I just don't
Right.
want more of, because then I have to. Yeah, I'd rather give it to someone
Right.
who enjoys that type of thing, especially if
Exactly.
you like do it for a while. Like I think I know a photographer who does every type of photography out there. So
I don't know how.
like, I just like anytime I get a lead for something that I don't do, I have a person to send it to, which is
Right.
great.
Right.
Yeah, and then, that kind of leads us to marketing. And, I think you're a huge presence on social media. And a lot of businesses right now, especially, are like kind of moving or transitioning online if they weren't already. And I think they're realizing it's not enough to have a great website if people aren't seeing it.
Exactly.
So when did you really realize you were going to just freaking go at it on social media and then blow up on TikTok?
Well, I didn't decide the blowing up. That just kind of happened. But I've always loved social media. Like, I wanted to do social media for a living. I do social media for a living with my day job. And so, like, I've always just loved it. And so, like, ever since I started photography, really social media is where I got all of my clients, all of my leads was from social media. So I'd say, like, on Instagram and Facebook, it's always kind of been there. It definitely, there were points where it was not good, but, like, I've always kind of been, like, in the social game. But then with TikTok, I feel like everyone downloaded TikTok in quarantine. Like, I feel like that was just, like, what everyone did. So I remember Sage had it before I did, and I was like, literally, Sage, that's for, like, 8-year-olds. Like, what are you doing on TikTok? He's like, no, Sam, like, they're really funny. I'm like, literally, it's just like music. Wasn't it Musical.ly before?
Yeah. That was the first TikTok.
Yeah. So I was like, Sage, what are you doing? And then finally I downloaded it and I was like, okay, wait, this is actually kind of funny. So, like, from March to, like, August probably, I just, like, made a bunch of just, like, funny random TikToks like everyone else did. And then I remember I decided to launch some presets, some mobile presets, just from my personal page. It wasn't really photography related, but just the way I edit my pictures. And I got, like, a ton, like, I probably made a ton, but, like, probably $400 or $500 from these presets, which is just like, what? Like, that was baffling. And so I made a TikTok about it. And that was the first TikTok to actually kind of, like, blow up. And it didn't really even blow up that much. It had like 200,000 views, which to me at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is crazy. So after that, I was like, okay, like, this is kind of interesting. Like, my marketing mind is kind of like, the wheels are turning, and I'm like, okay, so, like, maybe I'll just keep pushing the presets, like, on TikTok, and then I'll sell more. So I started kind of doing that, and then we got married. And so I was like, okay, well, I see all these weddings where they're, like, in a hall, and it's like just weddings that don't, like, fit the trendy new vision, right? And it's like, people spend so much money on, like, these halls and, like, these boring weddings, and it's like the average wedding is like $35,000 or something astronomical.
No, it is. It's like $35,000, $40,000. Yeah,
it's insane. And so we only spent $15,000 on our wedding. So I was like, I would want to know that. So, like, I'm gonna share that, like, how to have, like, a Pinterest worthy wedding on a budget. And that was the first TikTok that really, like, exploded. Like, I think it got probably like 2 million views or something.
We went from 200,000 to 2 million.
2 million. And I was literally jaw on the floor. I was, like, shaken to the core. And all these people were following me. People were commenting things. And, like, I was like, oh my gosh. And that's when it really hit me, like, well, what the heck? Like, if I have a platform, that means, like, I can start, like, advertising myself essentially. And so I just started posting more wedding videos, and I noticed this more recently that I'm so glad I did that and got people who are actual, like, brides to follow me, because, if I just get photographers to follow me, those aren't clients. But, like, if I have people that are following me that, like, they might need a wedding photographer, they're about to get engaged, like, and they already know me on TikTok. Like, it's so much more comfortable to reach out to someone that you feel like you know already. And so once that happened, like, I just started kind of cranking them out, and I was really embarrassed all the time at first, because I was like, oh my gosh, like, people were, like, messaging me that, like, they saw my TikTok, like, oh my gosh, my friend sent this to me, like, this is you. And I'm like, yeah. Like, one of my coworkers at my job was like, I hear you're blowing up on TikTok, and I was like, oh no. Like,
no, it's imposter syndrome, because what that is people actually loving and supporting you.
Right, and it's like, oh no, what's
so instead of being like, oh, thank you, we're like, oh no.
Right, I'm like,
but the reality is they're like, that's so freaking cool.
Right.
And you shy away from it because naturally it's like,
I still to this day don't let Sage watch my TikToks around me. If it scrolls, like, on his For You page, I'm like, nope, and I scroll past it. It's like, I hate the sound of my voice.
It's just too much pressure.
It's too much pressure.
So, like, no one in the world probably hears your voice more than him.
Right,
at least
I know.
this year.
I know.
And you don't want him to listen to your voice on TikTok.
Well, it's just funny because even the first wedding he shot with
her.
me, he's like, your photography voice is so different than, like, your voice. Because I'm like, like, I'm kind of like I'm talking right now. Like, I'm energetic, and then I'm home and I'm just like, like, what's for dinner?
Like, Sage, are we getting pizza?
Right, like, pizza again, So it's just like, even to him, he's like, oh, it's kind of like a production, Like, he never knows when I'm making TikToks. I really never make them when he's there. So, like, he's always like, oh, what's Sam doing today?
Yeah. I wondered that because I did pull you up. You were live today. I get a notification. I think it's like a couple times a day that you go live on TikTok.
I go live way more now than I originally did because the first time I went live, first off, was so embarrassed. Sage used to do Twitch, which is like all live. And I don't know how the heck he did it because like I was so, because it's like you're just sitting there waiting for people to talk to you. And like if no one talks to you, what do? You're just there, right? And so it took me forever to even like want to go live. And I was like, you know what? No, like this is a good idea.
Yes.
Like, I'm just going to do it.
It's so powerful. You're willing to wait.
Right.
You're willing to wait.
Exactly.
Because you know the benefits of what happens
like
when
I've
people
had
show up.
so many like people that like are in my live and then like I'll see like their inquiry for like a wedding like pop up on my phone like when the live is happening and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Sierra, thank you so much, I just got your email. And it's like that's so cool because one, I'm reaching people that like I would not have reached before, and two, like, you know, they can see my excitement. And like I said, you know, it's so much easier to get to know someone when you see them all the time. And that's one of the biggest marketing things people try to push, and that I'm trying to do more of now is show your face on like your stories, your reels, your TikToks and stuff, because, you know, if I'm just sharing my work, no one even knows what I look like. Like I come to a session and they're like, who's the photographer, right? But like if they're always seeing my face and I'm talking to them and they feel like they already know me before I even get to the session, then it's like you're already more comfortable. And I've been trying to do that a lot more because I feel like that's so true. You know, like if I see you all the time, like I'm gonna think like, oh, like I get her humor, like I get like the way she is, like I'm more comfortable just in general.
Yeah, that in itself is very difficult. At least from like a photographer's point of view, it's like I just want to post the things that I make because I'm like, no, this is like what I care about. But yeah, people need that like personal connection to you. Otherwise, you're a faceless brand. And like I don't want to work with someone who I have no clue what they look like.
Exactly.
Like when I show up to the photo shoot, like you said, they should know what I look like and who I am beforehand. So it's good that you're doing that.
And a wedding inquiry, as funny as it sounds, is so vulnerable. Like you're awkwardly enough, like you're the bride, you're the one getting, you know, the pictures and paying for them, but you're still like, I hope this photographer likes me and like wants to work with me. Like it's so interesting. So it's so cool that like they also get to understand like when you get their inquiry, you are literally stoked.
Oh my gosh, so excited. And it's so funny because like so I made a TikTok, you know, they weren't really, like inquiries weren't really coming in at first because like I wasn't really telling anyone I was a photographer. I was just sharing wedding stuff. So then I started like saying, hey, like I'm a photographer, yada, yada, yada. And I made one that was like hoping this shows up on the For You page of like a bride or blah, blah, blah. I don't know what it said, but I got like 65 or 70 wedding inquiries that day, literally in like 24 hours. And I was like, oh my God. Like I was just overwhelmed. Like I was telling Sage, I had like a mental breakdown that day.
No, you like posted a video like almost crying on Instagram.
Oh my gosh.
You were so grateful that like you actually were like, thank you guys. And I'm like, is she about to fucking cry?
Literally,
like, it's so
like,
cool.
So like overwhelmed. And like even from then on, like I'd probably get like 4 or 5 inquiries a day, and like most of them, like I have like a thing where it's like, where did you find me? And most of them say like social media, you know. And it's like that is just insane. It's like I'll put myself out there. I don't care. Like I don't get embarrassed anymore because it's like, hey, I'm
like, it's worth it.
Making
like,
more money than my full-time job just from like posting a 1-minute video and then the inquiries that come from it. So like it's just insane.
Yeah. And like this does not have to be in the video, but I want to ask you anyways.
Yeah.
How long could you keep doing your full-time job before you want to dive into like you're knee deep. You're thigh deep in photography.
Yes, I'm drowning.
So how long can you continue sustaining and holding all this weight?
So that's a conversation Sage and I are still having, just because like, you know, logistic.
He's your second shooter too, right?
Right, and also like our insurance is through me. Like it's so hard for me to like give up a stable income, and I love my job. Like I really do love my job, and all the people I work with, like I'm working from home, so like there's no pressure, and I love that job. But like it's to a point where it's like I don't even have enough PTO days to even cover like the days I need to take off to like go places to shoot things, and it's like, you know, realistically, I'm hoping to leave my job in like 6 months or 8 months or something
before wedding season.
Well, so I planned it out so I can tackle April, May, June with my PTO, so I can make it there, and then I don't have another like slew of weddings till September. And so it's just hard because like I do love my job, and But at some point, you know, Sage was saying we got in a bit of a tiff on Sunday because like I was meeting with the client on Sunday and he was like, Sam, you told me like you weren't going to work on Sunday. Like you're not meeting clients on Sunday. And it's like, I work so much that like, I don't even notice that like I'm always doing it. And he was like, why are you doing this? Like what, you don't need to meet them. Tell them you can meet another day. And I'm like, no, like I have to. I told him I would. And he's like, you can tell them you can't. Like, it's fine. You don't have days off. And I think I'm just kind of now realizing like, it's okay to like turn people down. And so like I closed my 2021 books because like I have dates available, but like I can't do more, you know, especially working a full-time job. Like, you know, if in 2022 that changes, then like so be it. But right now I was like, I cannot do more. I am doing way too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, the job thing, we'll see.
Well, and that's a really beautiful position to be in.
Oh my gosh.
Because there are so many people who are like, how am I even going to make it through this year?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm good.
Oh, so good. Yeah. It's a huge blessing. And I always tell people, I'm like, I could not be in a better position. And I always feel so, you know, I feel like you guys probably have felt something like this at some point, but it's like you feel guilty because you're not as bad off as other people, but it's like you're still complaining. And it's like, I'll feel so overwhelmed about all like the good things happening. Like having 70 inquiries to answer, that's like the best thing ever, but it's like still overwhelming. And I still feel like so much stress from it. And like I'm complaining about it almost. And it's like, why am I doing that? And then I get in this spiral where I'm like, well, I have 2 jobs. Like some people don't even have a job. And it's like, why am I doing this? And I beat myself up. And I feel like it's just important to keep in mind, like, you know, whatever you're struggling with, even if it's like a good struggle, like you're still struggling with it. It doesn't mean it's less valid. And, you know, you can be mindful about the way you say it for sure. And I definitely feel like I need to be more mindful just in general, when I'm talking about like, oh, like I'm so stressed, it's like, okay, well, I'm not that stressed compared to like X, Y, and Z. But, you know, it's the truth. And like, you can be really stressed about things without it, like, you know, being the most stressful thing that's ever happened to a person ever.
You can be stressed about good things.
Right.
And I talk about that a lot because it's something we don't acknowledge, but stress and excitement are the same hormones.
Right.
Like they are literally the same biological feelings. And the difference is your perception and your mindset.
Right.
So whether you're excited or stressed, it's literally just how your brain is deciding to interpret something. And I made a video about that earlier of like, I personally can fear being successful sometimes. And I was really trying to think about why would I fear being successful? But you just brought up something that like kind of is a good reminder for me is, hey, you know, sometimes being successful means you're above other people. And even though that's a nice position to be in, awkwardly enough, you're like, you don't sit back and go, I'm doing great. No, you feel bad. You're like, oh, I wish I could share the work. Or, you know, there are people out there who aren't getting fed. And we dim our own light to make other people feel more comfortable.
Well, and not to mention success, society's standard for success of, you know, having the good job and this, that, the other. Like, that's so much pressure. And that's so much, like, at this, like, there was a point, you know, and I still kind of feel this, where it's like, if I don't reply to someone in like 24 hours, I feel like they're not gonna, like, they're gonna think I'm like not wanting to be part of their day, or like there's like a level of like I have to post on Instagram every single day, I have to post a TikTok every single day, I have to be doing X, Y, and Z, or else like people aren't gonna like value your work. And like, you know, the people that are the most successful people, like, you know, CEOs and those type of people that are doing these high level jobs and stuff, it's like, well, you know, you think they have all that, they have all the money, they have the nice cars, they have all these things, but it's like, do you know how much stress and like anxiety like is probably comes with that? Because like I feel so much stress and anxiety now, I can't imagine like having 18 people under me and then like I'm like trying to organize everything. And so I feel like I have a whole new respect for just people that are successful, because it's like, it's not easy. Like, you think it looks easy and people make it look easy, but like it's so hard, really.
You're already a business of 2, and you might not even feel conscious enough to like label yourself that, but you definitely are. You have a business. It's a functioning business. And, you know, I know it sounds funny too, but like Sage is your business partner. And like, yeah, people might just think you guys are a couple doing something that's fun, but it is, at the end of the day, we talk about it. Work is work.
Yeah.
Even if you love it.
And it's so funny because Sage, first off, he's like not a photographer, right? Like he does not like, I don't want to say he doesn't like it, because I feel like he does like it, but he doesn't want to be shooting weddings with me like on weekends. Like that's not like his heart's desire, right? But he does it because, okay, she doesn't have to hire someone else. We can do it together. And I know she wants to experience this with me. And it's like, I thank him so much for that, because it's like, you know, who else would do that? Like just take up their entire, like he works a full-time job, take up their entire like day that they have off to go do more work that you don't even want to be doing. And so, yeah, I think I love to present it as, you know, Sage and I love working your weddings because we do. Like when we're there, we love being there, but it's still work. And it's like, even if, let's say I'm traveling to California for a wedding, like that's so freaking sick, but like it's still work. Like we're there and we're working. It's not like it's
And if he
fun.
wasn't with you, would
Right.
you guys get time together?
Right, exactly. So it's like, I'm so thankful that we're able to spend that time together, but also it's like, I'm like barking at him and he's like, we're like bickering because like we're doing work, like we're working together. We're not just like on a date, like we're like working. And like sometimes we'll like argue on the way home and I'm like, you know, I wouldn't trade it for anything else, but it's like, you know, people who do fun jobs, even social media, like influencers, they're working. Like people think that's like this lavish life and it is, but like you're still working. And like, especially like couples that do it together, like I'm sure, you know, it's not all peachy behind.
No,
like
the more passion behind anything, the more energy. Energy can easily turn into frustration and anger.
Exactly, especially when you're working together. It's like
when you're human.
It's so funny because like people, you know, I always tell Sage, like my dream is for us to like work together. And he's like, I don't know if that's my dream. Like, cause he's like, I don't like, then we're not like our time together. It's like, are we working? Are we not working? Are we spending quality time together? Or are we like continuing working? And it's like, I think that could be a fine line.
That's a great question. Quality time versus working.
Right. Because if you work with your partner, like where is the line drawn? I find that with working from home, it's like when I'm working from home, when am I off? Like I've struggled with that so much because I feel like when you're going into the office, like, yes, it's so cut and dry. You leave, you're off. Like it's so easy. But now it's like, oh, I'll get an email from my boss at like 9:30 p.m. And that just might be why she's working because she has kids and she has to work them. But like that doesn't mean I need to reply. But inside I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to reply to this because like my boss emailed me at 9:30. And it's like, same with if you're working with your partner, it's like, when does that turn off?
Yeah.
And I feel like that, you know, he has a good point. Like, if you don't want to work together, I think that's, you know, props to people who do work full time together. Yeah.
But even when you're excited, like sometimes, because Bill and I, we work together,
right,
and like, you know, he's my partner, and like we'll be trying to fall asleep, and I'll be excited about something,
right.
like, oh, I just had a great idea.
He's like, I'm just trying to sleep.
Literally, he's like, save it for later, and I'm like, oh, don't you care?
Right.
And it's like,
and then it's like you're bringing emotions into it.
Yeah.
And then it's like you're sad, and then it's like the day's ruined, but it's like, well, it was just a work thing.
Right, the day's ruined, but it's 10 p.m. and you're trying to fall asleep, and you actually had like 9 hours, like 13 hours of an incredible day.
Yep.
But you let like 5
ruined.
minutes of trying to fall asleep ruin your day.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that, like, that's another really great thing about your social media in general. And this is beyond like your photography presence, but like as you are as a human, I do believe you use social media for like mental health awareness, and you were documenting a lot of your working from home struggles. And
oh my gosh, I'm like, does anyone else need help? Because I need help.
And it made me feel better. And I don't know if I expressed that enough to you this fall, but like it made me feel good to like feel weird about myself and uncomfortable, and then to get on social media and like you are literally like, hey guys, today sucked. But like that's not what you said. But like the point is working from home is hard, and I'm struggling with my own balance. Anyone else with me? And I'm like, I'm with you, even if I didn't tell you I was with you.
Well, I know people are, and I feel like that's why it's so, you know, when people have platforms, however big or small it is, you know, you can be using it to like, not for good. That sounds so cheesy.
But it is good.
It is for good, but also just like to let people know that like, you know, literally you're not like alone. And that again sounds so cheesy, but it's like, you know, for a long time I had this mental breakdown. Like I was just crying to Sage, and I'm like, I feel like I'm the only one that feels like this, and I know I'm not. Like I know logically I'm not, but it's like I have so much work to do, and I feel like paralyzed with it. Like I can't even do any of it, because like it's overwhelming. Once I start, like I don't even want to start. And I think, you know, I can't be the only person that feels like that. And so even if someone doesn't say back to me like, oh, like I also feel like that, you know, someone could see it and be like, oh my gosh, that she put into words exactly how I feel. Cause like I had such a hard time putting it into words, like how I was feeling. And I know so many other people are working from home and probably literally feel exactly the same.
Or people reply and then you're overwhelmed because you have DMs to respond to.
Oh my gosh.
It's a backhanded beautiful thing.
Yes.
Because you're like, oh, I'm so happy you can relate with me. And now I'm anxious about opening up my DMs.
I know. There was one time where I had like 14 DMs, and I was like, I can't. And I would just build up, and then eventually someone like, I was selling, I still am low key, like selling clothes on Instagram. And then like I just don't want to like ship them. And it's just like, I don't want to do it. Like, so I just will leave the DM unopened because I'm like, if it's unopened, it's away. And then they're like, hello, am I getting my clothes? And I'm like, yes.
You're like, and thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird like added stress. Like I personally don't find that to be the case with like DMs and stuff, but like I know a lot of people do. It's a very common thing of just like, oh, like getting anxious about like I have so many people that I need to reply to. When like in reality it probably wouldn't take that long.
Oh no.
But each time you like open a new message, it's the risk of it being a very in-depth question that like is gonna take a long time, and now they've seen that you've seen it.
Yeah, and you're not
now I forget.
Yeah, but Kyle's also not afraid to acknowledge that sometimes a double tap is enough. Like just like their message.
The
like
like feature.
you don't always respond.
The like feature is the best.
Yeah.
Because so many times people will like respond to stories with statements and not questions.
Right.
And it's not a statement that I need. Like I'll post a picture of a cup of coffee and I'll write on it like this coffee was delicious. Just like a random example. And someone will reply with looks good. I don't need to reply to that.
Double tap.
I don't need to reply. Like I don't even have to double tap, but I do just to like acknowledge like, hey, thank you for engaging with me. But yeah, people get really anxious about like the like responding to DMs. I've found like having like a specific time in the day that I go through and just answer any DMs that I have makes it feel a little bit more structured and a little less stressful because they come in so randomly.
No, that's a good tip. Definitely.
Yeah, like I just get so scared of like I want someone to feel like they're having a conversation with me while we're DMing. So like I get way too like emotional while I'm typing. I like treat it like we're talking.
Right.
And so like then I get overwhelmed because I'm like, what if I don't have the energy to type out how I'm feeling? And then I'm like, what? Why am I thinking so much? Or sometimes I send a long message like because I'm trying to get my emotions, my point, and like be normal and friendly, and then they just double tap it back, and I'm like,
why'd you double tap?
Yeah, or
that's
I'm
all
like,
I get?
cool. No, sometimes I'm just grateful. I'm like, why did I put all that thought into like responding when like it could have just simply been like a, hey, thanks.
Right.
Yeah, it's often much simpler than we make it out to be in our head.
Yeah, but like I just never know how people are feeling right now, or if they've seen anyone in person or had a good conversation in a couple days, and I don't know. I want them to know that, like, if they do want someone to talk to, like, I'd be there.
Right.
But, like, I don't know. I guess
Like,
I wouldn't be there if it's, like, 3 weeks later.
No, yeah. My problem is, like, if I open it and I don't reply, I will not reply. Like, it is forgotten. It is gone. So, like, my text messages are always, like, so full. And, like, I always tell clients when I meet with them, I'm like, okay, so if you, like, message me, I'm not ignoring you. I just literally will not reply if I open it and don't have an answer for you. So like I just leave it unopened till like I can get around to replying. But then sometimes it's been like a week and I'm like, shoot, I have like 18 texts from like last week. I need to open. But
that I get too much anxiety from seeing the little like notifications.
See, I'm not like that.
So I have to get rid of all of them, which it's like a blessing and a curse because that means like when someone texts me, I respond immediately, or like the second that I have a minute. I will never like read a text and then be like, I'll do that later because I know I won't.
Right, exactly.
And I'm like, I'd rather just give up the like 30 seconds it's going to take me right now, or maybe a couple minutes, or I'll text them and say, hey, I'm busy right now, but I'll get you an answer by this time and throw it on the calendar. Yeah. I know people like their text, it'll be like 400 just like unread texts.
See, I don't know about that. My emails, I have like 60,000
how?
like in my like Gmail, like
Is that your number right now?
That's just like, that's not like, the email everyone has where like they just like everything just goes.
Yeah.
That's that email. It's
I
not
even try to organize that
email.
though.
Oh no.
I do get it. Email anxiety is huge. I had to train myself last year to stop checking my email like every 5 minutes because it was my anxious like habit was just checking my email. And even now I check my work email probably every 30 minutes, but like I think 30 minutes is like pretty good progress compared to like every 5. Emails are huge. But now again, back to like you have TikTok and you have DMs, but you also have comments, and with comments come opinions.
Oh yeah.
So, I've noticed recently too, you're making videos in response to your comments, and you don't always get like cool comments or nice comments, and it seems like there are people who like also judge you for being married and only 20, or you're 23, right?
I'm 22.
Yeah. 22. And like how how does that feel? Like, you probably get way more love than hate.
Right. Absolutely. I don't honestly, like, it's almost humorous to me. And that sounds so bad, but it's like, you really think like your comment is like, one, making me feel bad about myself. It's really not. It's just funny that you literally took time out of your day to do that. But I feel like it's something that is just so normal now, because it's like, it's so easy to just comment something. You don't agree with something, you comment it, as you know, and it can get as big as like with political things, like you don't agree with someone, you're in their face about it. And you know, I know people are passionate about things, but like when it comes to TikToks, like I made the one video about my wedding and how I said it was like a cheaper or a more affordable wedding. And that just like blew people out of the water. They were like, I got married for $500 at blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, congrats.
Good
like,
for you.
I don't know what you want me to say to that. Like, congrats. Like, good for you. That's what you wanted. That wasn't what I wanted. And I literally said in the video, for people who want like a more like luxurious feel of a wedding for a better price than the $35,000 that's like the normal price. And I feel like, to an extent, I kind of want to be snarky and just like reply to people.
Yeah,
just
someone
like,
commented on your engagement, like, or your wedding band price.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Oh my gosh, wait. First up, so I was like, first off, do you know anything? I'm not talking about my engagement ring. I'm talking about my wedding band. Do you not know that they're cheaper? Like, first off, you're not married. Like, I know that. Second off, so it's like, yeah, stuff like that. So I replied to that because I'm like, first off, even if it was my whole freaking wedding set, what's it matter?
yeah, you're like, I love him.
Right. Literally, what does it matter? And like the fact that someone needs to comment that, it's like, why? And I got a ton of comments like that where it was like, oh, $600 on the rings.
We'll
but
see
like,
how long that lasts.
yeah,
and
we'll
you're
see
like,
how long that lasts. Or like, you spent $4,000 on pictures, but $600 on the rings. And it's like, why do you even need to comment that? And yes, I did. And I'm very pleased with my decision.
Like, that's my business.
Right.
It worked out great.
Yeah, hence me sharing it. I'm clearly proud of it.
Exactly. And I feel like, I mean, to an extent too, I think people also need to realize though, because I think people do get really hurt by like comments and stuff. And I think if you're going to put yourself out there, you have to just know not everyone's going to agree with you. And like, that's totally fine. Like, I'm cool if you don't agree with me. And that's why like in a lot of my videos now, I'm like prefacing it with like, again, these are just my opinions, because they're just my opinions, and you can watch it and disagree. And like, that's totally fine. But you don't have to come at me for having my opinion about a wedding. Like, it's not like I'm having an opinion that like we should kill children or something. Like, it's literally an opinion on like if you should like get champagne or like wine or like liquor for your wedding. Like, calm down, you know?
Yeah. And it's not like people would react that way in person, which is
Right,
like the main
exactly.
thing. Like, if I'm talking to someone and they say something that I disagree with, I'm not just gonna like leave a comment, or I'm not
Right.
gonna like say to them like, that was stupid.
Exactly.
Like, that's not how I'm going to respond to someone who I disagree with. Whereas on social media, yeah, you don't see the person. It's so easy to put your thoughts.
Exactly.
And like, it's just so
And you don't know how that's
unnecessary.
going to impact someone, because like I made one video with like my bridesmaids. It was like the one, I don't know if you guys heard the sound, but it was like, I ain't seen two pretty best friends. It was like that sound. And it was like me and like my friends. It was just like different selfies of us. And we all look hot. Like, no one can disagree with that. And people are like commenting rude things. And I mean, first off, say rude things about me, whatever. I'm the one posting it, but like, don't say rude things about my friends. And also like, what gratification do you get about like being rude? And it's like, I just don't get it. I literally do not understand it, because it's like, you could literally think I'm a hot mess and think it. And like, that's it. You scroll. That's the beautiful thing. You just literally scroll.
Yeah.
But I love your opinion on it, because I think even personally, I know I should be doing lives. I know I should be uploading more videos. I have all this content and all these things I want to share with people. And I still, even though I have all this love and support from people all around me, and I only really I haven't blown up, so I've only really received positive feedback. I still just get scared of being judged.
It is scary. Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from. I think it's like imposter syndrome of, once it's out there, it's out there. And you're like, well, what happens if I change? Or what if I feel different? It was like, really? We don't change that much.
Right.
Like,
Or literally, what if someone disagrees? And then it's like, so what? Like, I feel like there's so many people that they want to make everyone happy.
Yes.
And it's like, you can't, you never will. And so it's like, just be who you are. And like, it doesn't, some people aren't going to like you, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't matter. Like, not everyone that meets me in real life probably likes me. And like, that's fine.
Yeah.
I hope y'all like me, but like, it's fine if people don't. And, you know, I think people just have this perception of like, I want everyone to like me. And to an extent, I do have that. Like, I do want people to think well of me. Like, I think there's a difference between wanting everyone to like you and then wanting everyone to like think you're like a good person. Because like you don't have to want to go out to coffee with me, but like I would want you at least to like not know that I'm like horrible, you know?
Yeah. I think you get that message across too, though. But I just admire you all around. So like, I don't know. Like you were gonna say something too, Kyle. What were you thinking? Do you remember?
I know, Kyle, you're trying to get a word in
Yeah.
with the ladies.
Probably not.
Kyle, what's been holding you back from sharing more of your stuff? I know, vulnerable question, but
like on TikTok?
anywhere.
TikTok's new for me. I've had it for a little bit. Like most people, I got it during quarantine. And I expected to just see a bunch of children dancing. And that's
Right.
probably what the first couple days were, till the algorithm was like, no, he doesn't like this.
Yeah.
And then gave me photography related things. Yeah, I think just coming up with like the things that I actually care to share on TikTok compared to like other platforms, or at all really. Like I love showing the behind the scenes of photo shoots. That's like becoming what most of my YouTube channel is like more like longer videos showing like a cinematic version of the images
Right.
and kind of like what goes into it. So I don't always know what to post. Like I don't want to like just post like facts about photography.
Right.
Like I don't find those very interesting for myself. But the one thing with TikTok is like the sound you use is so important. And if I'm putting on TikTok the videos that I make for like my own YouTube channel or for my projects, I'm using custom audio. It's not going to be like a trending sound. So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. It's going to get like 4 views.
But you don't know that, because honestly, most of my most viewed videos are just me talking. Like it's not like an audio track. It's just me talking. And I feel like it's really the information you're providing people. And it's like, are you, you have to, I think it's like the 3 E's or something. Like you have to entertain, or you have to like inform. That's not an E. Educate. Okay, thank you. I was like,
Entertain,
okay, there's an E
educate,
somewhere.
yeah.
Entertain, educate, and there's like one more, explain. Like, I don't know, something where it's like, you have to provide people value. And that's all social media is. You're providing people value of entertainment, of education, or you're explaining something. And it's like, I try to educate people in my videos, but also like there's somewhere I'm like, I'm just like entertaining you. I'm entertaining myself. So like,
Your lives, you're going live. That's just
Right.
entertaining. Like I said it, you were doing your hair.
Right, literally, I always go live when I get ready, because it's like so easy, right? Because like you don't have to just sit there and like wait. Like at least you're occupied. Like at least for me, it's like I'm occupied doing something already, so it's not like so awkward for me to just like sit there and like talk to people.
Getting ready is awkward and it can be
Right.
lonely and like,
Right, so why not chat with people?
Right, like I'm used to having sisters around me when I get ready, but like now I'm just kind of in the bathroom by myself and like it'd be fun to just talk to people.
Right.
Getting ready.
Right.
Feel more natural actually.
Yeah.
And you used to be a cheerleader, so actually I'm sure you're probably used to getting ready with a lot of people too and talking and
Yes. I feel like that's what really made me so like bubbly and so like outgoing. And everyone always, whenever they first meet me, they're like, you always are just smiling. And I feel like that's just because I was a cheerleader for so long, and it's just like ingrained in me now that you just smile when you do things. And I also like worked for the Tigers, and I still do kind of, but like even that, it's like, even if you're not like doing something, you're talking to anyone, like you're smiling, you're public representation of the ballpark, and you're smiling and you're presenting yourself well. And so I feel like that's, I always tell people, like, you can talk crap about cheerleaders all you want, but like they're so successful because like they know how to present themselves.
They
That's
are
the whole
entertainment.
job. They're entertaining, and
Yeah,
they
they're
can present
fun.
themselves well. And it's like in an interview, like I love interviews. I'm so confident and I can present myself so well because like I've talked to so many people, and I have like literal like training on like presenting myself well. And so I feel like that definitely has served me super, super well in my life.
You had said that like you're always smiling like throughout your day and stuff. I'm so not like that, and I wish I was like Bree's like that, just always smiling. And like even like when we're on camera, I try to at least hold like a smirk the whole time, and like I feel like my like jaw's like sore. It's just not.
my
used to
jaw's
being.
been sore.
Oh, I
not-
get like the lines, like I'm sure I have them right now, like the makeup where it's like,
I just don't smile that much. Like I'm a happy person. Like
Right.
on my website, like on my about page, there's a photo of me, and of course I'm not smiling in it because I'm never smiling. But under it, like a very small caption says, "P.S. I know I look very sad, but I'm not. I'm actually quite happy." Like it's just not like my face just naturally rests in kind of a sad looking way. And then, so Brie always says that I'm sad, but.
yeah, no,
I'm
Sage
not.
is the
I
same
just
way.
don't naturally look as happy.
Right.
As
I feel
am.
like that's all like guy thing though. I feel like I
Yeah.
know a lot more ladies that are like bubbly and smiley than guys that like are always smiling.
I feel like I wasn't always like allowed to like I sang like a lot, but I don't feel like I was able to not be smiley because it was so important that the people around me felt comfortable. Like I'm the oldest of 5 kids, and I always believed that like any bad thing I'm going through, I wasn't always the best at acknowledging like, hey, it's okay that I'm sad.
Right.
Instead, I just was like, there are people who have it way worse.
Right.
Suck it up, girl.
Right.
Come on.
Yep.
Put that smile on. And, red lipstick helps.
Exactly.
It's easy to smile if you're wearing red lipstick.
So you're saying I should try red lipstick?
Yes.
Yes.
That would help?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, there's just like little things. And another thing I used to do, and I don't do this anymore, but like if you start laughing, even if it's not a real authentic laugh, you will start real laughing
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And I think they're a little mindset hack sometimes, because sometimes you don't get a choice. Sometimes you do have to suck it up and smile.
Oh,
Like,
exactly.
there are moments.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's so funny you say that because I always Sage hates it. So if he like watches this, hopefully he will, because like he loves me.
Yeah.
But so I would always go like, I would start doing like Santa Claus. I'd be like, ho, ho, ho. It just makes you laugh because if you do it, like, but if you actually do it like a laugh, do it.
When do you do this?
Just anytime.
Anytime
Just
you
like
need
in
to.
the middle of the night.
And
It's
he's
just
like, Sam, please don't get started with this. Because then I can't stop because I'm like, and then I just start laughing and then I'm like crying. And then he's like, all right, like it was funny the first 15 seconds. Like you got me. But like now it's been 3 minutes. Like, please stop. Please stop. But it's like stuff like that where it's like, you just got to find joy and like the mundane stuff.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
my mom's thing. She's like, you got to choose your battles, Brianna, because
Yeah.
like I went from being like, I'm not allowed to be sad, to being like, I'm really going to acknowledge when I'm sad. And now I'm like, I got to have a middle ground. Like where's the borderline between, okay, I'm allowed to be sad, but I've been sad. Now I got to be happy.
Right.
And I think that's a good trick. There's
No,
little things you can do.
It is. I think it's good too to keep in mind because I feel like I'm kind of in that middle ground too. Like just recent, like I never show my emotions really, and so recently, like I have been more, and I feel like not like embarrassed, but like every time I like cry, I was like, oh, like it's fine. Like I'm fine, and like I'm still getting better at that. But I think I just don't feel a lot of genuine sadness ever because like it's just your mindset, and like I feel like I just have a lot of joy in me, and so like that's why I'm so happy to do things. That's why I'm so patient, and that's why like all these other things pour out of me because like I feel like there is a joy that like lives in me, and I think that's so like good. And I feel like some people don't have that, and it's like, I promise if you just switch your mindset around, like you could literally be living such a better life. And it's not that your circumstances are better. It's not like whatever. Like my mom, she like their cars always break. Like they don't have a ton of money, like yada, yada, yada. But she has so much joy. Like if you meet her, you remember her, you know her because
I've seen
like,
pictures of her. She
Yeah.
looks happy.
She's
she looks
always
awesome.
happy.
Like,
She's
your
always
mom
happy.
looks so cool.
Yeah, and it's like, what everyone's like, oh, like your mom's nuts. Like, how is she always like that? It's like her circumstances aren't like phenomenal.
Yeah, happiness is nuts. No,
No,
you know what I mean?
It's not your
People say
circumstances that
things
make you
like-
happy. And I feel
Yeah.
like that's the same. I always say when people ask me like why I got married young or like something like that, it's like, oh, like what if he's not the one? It's like, there's not the one, it's you choose, this is the person I'm going to love. And then you choose to find joy in that. And then you choose them over and over. It's not just like, you don't just leave when it's like, I don't think I love him anymore. Suck it up and learn to love him again. Like that's the commitment you made. And I feel like people just can't get past that concept where it's like, things cannot be good right in that moment, but like you can still be joyful in it. And like, I think a lot of people don't recognize that. And so I'm so glad that like I have that in me because I feel like that just carries over in everything else I do, like my business and like my friendships and just everything. And like,
it's discipline.
Yeah.
It's true discipline. You wake up every day, you decide he's the one.
Right.
And you hope he's making the same decision.
Right.
And,
it's like some days I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah.
Like some days I'm like, oh, I'm sad.
Yeah.
But like I'm not sad. Like I'm not like a sad person, And I think there are sad people. And it's like, that makes me sad because it's like, why, I can't even empathize with you because it's like, I don't know how it feels to always feel that way. And so it's like, I know it's not as easy as a mindset shift. Like it's definitely not always that ezy, but I think to an extent, it's like, if you really focus on the good gets better. And then it's just a snowball from there.
Well, it's like, I think it's a common phrase, but like with every like good thing, there's like bad things come with it, and every bad
or
thing,
like four bad
good
things come with it.
Yeah. So it's like, like being aware of like, okay, this is like a moment that sucks. Like I'm sad right now, but there's also really good things that are happening. So I'm going to focus on these good things rather than always just thinking about the negative things.
Right. Like even being sad is a mindset shift. And I totally understand how someone could spiral into depression because like, if, you know, especially when something really traumatic has happened to you, people who love you and care about you tend to ask, are you okay? Which is just like
no.
reoccurring reminder of the thing that you experienced. And when it's constantly, you're being reminded of it, like something really wild happened and you're like, I'm great. That also looks, society views that as wrong and weird. And so it's easy to kind of fall into like, I'm doing okay. And then eventually you start only feeling okay. And then you kind of forget how good can feel. But, you know, even, along that lines of simple mindset shifts, I said yesterday, Kyle, I'm going to play a song that's going to make you sad.
And it did.
Right. But like, had I prefaced it as like, oh, I'm just going to play a song, maybe he wouldn't have been as aware of the lyrics. And maybe he wouldn't have related with them as much. Maybe he wouldn't have even felt sad.
Right.
But she wanted to make me feel sad.
You know,
so
sad music is my favorite kind of music. Fun fact, I only listen to sad music.
Yeah, you post
strictly.
about Taylor Swift.
Taylor, my girl. And it's not even just like Taylor. It's like her new albums because they're all, even if they're happy, they still have like an undertone of like emotion. That's not, I don't like
No,
sad
I think
music.
you posted
But
like if you were
emotional.
single, Taylor Swift's new album would like destroy you.
Oh my gosh, it destroys me now. I literally like listen to the song Exile and I'm like in my car and I'm just like, oh my gosh. But no, I feel like I just love songs that evoke like emotion, and usually it's sad and then I cry and then I'm okay.
But it's sadness you can control.
Right,
you
exactly.
choose that
like
moment.
I'm choosing that sadness, and that's fine.
So you're acknowledging the emotions. You're allowing them to be experienced within yourself. But it's like nice to have that control.
Sometimes you just need to cry.
Yeah.
And then I just turn Taylor on, and then I cry, and then I'm good.
Yeah.
I just move on.
Well, it's nice that you know your process. Of like, I'm sad. I know how to fix this.
Yeah.
Put on Taylor Swift.
No, sometimes Sage will come home and like I've just had like it could be literally stupid, and I think I'm gonna cry now, and he's like, okay, you don't have to, and I'm like, I know, but I think I'm gonna. He's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I'll cry, and then I'll be better. Like,
No, I totally get it.
like a normal thing now, because like I just need to cry sometimes.
Yeah. I used to joke like, oh, I haven't cried yet this week, so maybe it'd be good for me. But like I actually seriously mean that. Like I think if I don't plan my cries, like they're gonna plan my life anyways. So I might as well kind of try to schedule them as much as I can.
Right, because if I cry weekly, then I don't have a giant cry monthly.
Yeah.
And then it's just a whole different tone.
Yeah, and there are real hormones and like chemical changes that happen when we cry, which is super cool. Like if you actually analyze teardrops, like there's organic compound structures in them based on your emotions.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, and there's like benefits and psychological releases that come with crying. It's so fun. It's fun. Fun isn't the word.
Yeah.
Super cool though. Like actual release. And like I know, you know, specifically I hate to throw like biological sex and gender and terms out there, but like I know that as a culture, like men are suppressing crying, and like there's this like kind of pride that comes with I haven't cried in a long time, and I'm like, maybe that's not healthy.
Right, maybe that's why you're feeling a little grinchy.
Like Kyle, he says if he doesn't cry for a long time, he will cry out of nowhere a couple times a year.
That used to be me.
Usually once a year, but like I don't know though, because I don't like find it like shameful if dudes cry. Like I'm very on board with guys crying.
I love it. And you talk about how you'll randomly cry.
It's just not how I work. Like even at like the saddest things, I just don't cry. Like it's just not my reaction to it. But yeah, like once a year or so, just like a random thing will happen, and I'll like just like one single tear will like roll down, and I won't know why. Like for like there's no reasoning at all. Like I'll just be sitting there working just out of nowhere.
You're like, that's it.
That's just not how I process my my emotions.
See, sad things happen to me, and I won't cry. Like sad, like legitimate, like sad things will happen, and like I feel like I don't cry. But then like, it's like the tip of the iceberg, you know. Like if I don't know, some things just happen. Like one time I I just hit my nose on the microphone.
No, good thing they're soft.
So I had just like a crappy day. You know how they go, and they just keep like spiraling down, right? So like I go to Starbucks, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna turn this day around. Like I'm gonna get the Starbies, you know, we're feeling good. And then like I forgot to get milk at the coffee. Like I got like a peppermint like something, but like no milk. No milk was in it, and I was like, oh no, this is no good, because like I hate coffee. Like I have to like milk it, you know. And then I just like cried, and I parked my car, and I just like cried. And I'm like, Like that doesn't matter.
No, but it was
Yeah,
supposed to. It was
it
supposed
wasn't
to be
about
the
the
thing.
it was
coffee.
supposed to be the thing that made my
Yeah.
day better, and then it like or like even
Yeah.
like I'll come home and I'm talking about Sage a lot, but like I live with him, so that's the scenario. But
And you're married.
right, and I'm married, so like I do my life with him.
Yeah.
So like I'll have this exciting day, blah 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 blah, and like I'm so excited to get him home and tell him something, and maybe he hasn't had an exciting day, or like I get home and he's
Oh, that's
renovating the
tough for
kitchen
me.
all day, and then so he comes home and he's like, what? And then literally that what? I'm like shut down. I'm like
Yeah.
no longer sharing my excitement with you, and then I'm in a bad mood the whole day, and it's like that's not fair because like he's allowed to have a crappy day, like and react however he wants to. Just because I had a good day or I
Yeah.
had a bad day doesn't mean he has to have those same emotions.
Right.
And so what were we talking about before this?
We're just talking about like how if
Crying.
you don't
Crying?
yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't plan to cry,
Right.
like you might just end up crying and you
Right.
don't know why.
See, now I'm better about crying because I used to blow up. Like I wouldn't cry, and then like the smallest thing, and then I just like done whole day crying. Now I feel like I cry more often, and it's good. I like it.
Oh yeah, I can cry and then like forget that I cried.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
But
no.
now I used to build up, and I'd only have like maybe like 3 or 4 times a year, but those were all day,
Mm-hmm.
worst day. And now like I cry way more
And you
frequently.
can have a good cry.
Yeah.
Like I had a good cry literally 2 days ago.
Yeah.
I picked up this art piece that I had commissioned for this gal I know. And I got there and she was so nice. And like, we were just clicking like I had never met the girl before. And we were just yakking it up and we were having a great old time. And then she showed me the art piece and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And then I come home and I'm like talking to Sage about it and I'm just starting to cry because I'm like, she made this art out of my picture. It was a picture I took and she made this art. And like, I'm just crying. And he's like, that was when he said, do you need to cry? I said, yeah. And then I just started crying because like, it's good. Like I'm happy, but you just need to cry and then you're good. And then I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. And that's something that's super interesting to learn too, like your role as a partner when it comes to emotional support of like your partner is just going to cry today.
Right. And that's okay.
You're like, okay. But like, I think that like for me, if my partner is sad, I'm like, I become overbearing.
Yeah, I'm like, how can I fix it? Are you okay?
Oh my gosh.
That's literally me.
Yeah, because and it's different because like with my girlfriends, like I got a girlfriend crying. I might not even need to give her advice or anything. I just hug her and like pet her and she's good, But like when it's like a guy, I'm like, do you need space? Do you want me to be by you? Do you want me to talk? Do you want me to run away?
Like where do we want me? But that's why you don't want to ask, like, where do you want me? Because then that's insensitive, right?
Yeah, like it's like how to tolerate, it's just so different when it's like a romantic partner versus like a friend or a family member. Right. Yeah, I love it. And then, Kyle, do you have anything to say about that or?
I don't think so. I can't really relate.
I know. I was looking at you. You're kind of like
to any of the crying stuff. Yeah, that's just not how I process my emotions. I have nothing against it whatsoever. But typically, if I have a bad day or something, I just end up like writing everything down.
Yeah.
And getting my thoughts out of my head onto paper, and then I can look at the paper and be like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter, and throw it away, and I'm good.
That is good.
Yeah, I wish I was like that.
Now, a last note that I kind of want to finish with too is if you could kind of dream up what your life looks like in the next 3 to 5 years, what does that vision look like for you or that dream?
That's a good question. I think, I would love to be a full-time photographer. That would be the goal. And also just be like, I don't know, happy. Is that that's a simple enough answer. Like, I just want to be happy. And I feel like I want our home to be completely renovated. That's a stress. And I love like visual things. Like, I feel like in a different life, I'd be like an interior designer. Like, I love like making my space look nice. So I'd love to have like a nice home and just be happy and maybe have another dog and just be a wedding photographer, travel everywhere. Hopefully Sage, he doesn't want a real job. Like, he doesn't want like a 9-to-5 real job. So hopefully he won't have one either. And then we can just travel and shoot weddings and be happy.
Well, they are your real jobs. It's just reframing how society views them.
Your 9-to-5.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's all super exciting. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Well, if you are trying to decide if you should get on TikTok or start leaning more into social media for building your brand or your business or even just letting people to get to know you more, I really recommend that you check out Sami's page. She's always giving advice to influencers. Like, Sami, you seem like, not that you've mastered the craft of social media marketing, that you've truly just embraced what it means to be you and to put that online. And that's vulnerable and scary, but you know, you do it great. And I think it's just because you've learned how to be comfortable with yourself. So yeah, don't be scared. Just do it. You know people love you. You know people like you. So get online.
Right. And like, what's the worst thing that can happen? It flops.
Yeah.
And then you pick it back up and you do it again. And then eventually it'll happen.
Yeah. All right, Sami, do you have any last thing that you hope anyone listening might take away from this too?
Just kind of reiterating what you said. Like if you're being yourself, people will either like it or they won't. And the people that like it will really like it. And, you know, that's your tribe of people. And, you know, I think if you're a photographer, don't shoot for free. I always say that. That's about it.
Yep. The pretty solid advice. Just know to value yourself.
Yeah. Like, don't do it for free. That's all.
You heard it here. Value yourself and dive into your social media.